Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Ondo's price chart, and I'm going to try to explain why do I think we are probably soon going to see a move on the upside, not only in Ondo, but hopefully in a lot of other altcoins. And I got a couple of very important reasons for it. So, are you ready? Let's dive in and see what is going on. And I think one of the more important reasons for why I think in Ondo, either we have hit our final low or maybe we are very much close to reach to our final low, is the fact that in terms of classic TA, meaning support and resistances, we are at the moment around this very important cluster of support areas, which is from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. And the lower band of it, as you can see, is somewhere around 66, and the higher band of it is about 72.5 cents. Now, in my view, in Ondo, this support area is actually going to hold. And you might ask, well, okay, what if we get a breakout? Well, here is my point. You see, I don't really believe that we are going to get in a situation where, for instance, Bitcoin and a lot of other altcoins are going to either consolidate or maybe go up, and instead Ondo is just going to go straight down. So what I'm trying to tell you is this: if we are going to get a break of this thing, that implies that probably in BTC and a lot of other alts, which by the way, at the same time, those are also around their important support, we are witnessing a very strong move on downside collectively. And at that point, well, okay, unfortunately, the news is not good. Why? Because I do not really believe that we are having a whole lot of strong supports under here. And the next important region, in my view, is actually right around this area between 40 to about 47.5 cents. Meaning, if we get a break of this thing, expect maybe like a 40% drop in Ondo, and for that matter, I'm gonna say probably in a lot of other altcoins as well. But right now, as long as we are above it, I think we shouldn't really be jumping into those kinds of bearish conclusions. So let's be a bit optimistic, especially because in terms of classic patterns, I'm not really sure if you are a big fan of them, but if you are, you can either call this thing a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, something like this. This is our first test. Excuse me, what just happened? This is our first test. This is the second one. This can be our final test. And what happens when we are having a Wyckoff accumulation pattern around the lows? We are going to get a very strong move up in order to get a break of this important area about, let's say, $1.1. Now, the second scenario suggests that according to classic patterns, well, okay, this is just a simple triple bottom structure. And if this is the case, well, okay, in the midterm, we can expect Ondo to get a break of this level. And at that point, you actually have a decent target. First things first, you have to put your chart on regular escape, okay? This is a very important point. I'm going to keep saying this in every single update. There is no such thing as measuring waves on logarithmic, and then you need to measure the height of your triple bottom and then put this thing at your breaking point. As you can see, this is giving you about like a $1.6 Ondo. And in my view, by the end of this cycle, this can be very much a realistic target. So as you can see, in terms of overall structures, I do like to be bullish in Ondo as long as I'm not proven otherwise, especially because in terms of fundamentals, we're just having constantly great news here and there. And I do think the future for Ondo is quite bright. Now, having said all that, let's go on some lower time frames and see what is going on. And I think the last time that we talked about Ondo, we were on Coinbase's chart. Yep. Yes, there we go. And yep. Okay. We were right around here, and the idea was that this seems to be a consolidation pattern, and soon we are going to get a break out of this area. But we said this specific move up is kind of predictable. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is what's gonna happen after this phase up. And we said if you see a rather strong move down in order to take these lows right in here, at that point you should probably argue that in Ondo we are just having a three-wave movement, potentially in form of a beautiful looking ABC zigzag, meaning what? Yes, our move down from here in the short term is going to continue, and in it, we can take the lowest low in here, about 74 cents area for the first target, but maybe we're not that lucky, and we are going to end up going quite a bit lower than that, and unfortunately, that scenario played out. Now, Let me be very clear. I still do like to be optimistic, and in my view, off of the lows in Ondo, we do have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm really hoping this is going to be into a wave 1, followed by this whole move on the downside can be either to about here or maybe to around here, a correction for wave 2. And what's next? Good move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And I do still honestly believe that we are going to have some form of a V-shaped recovery, especially because in my view, this week, not only for Ondo, also for BTC and probably a lot of other altcoins as well, is going to be a bit of a bullish one. So in the next couple of days, I do think that we are going to see a move on the upside. Now, here's a very important point. Whether we are going to get our move up effective immediately from the current point or not, that can be a little bit up for debate. And the question is, what are our options in here? You see, scenario number 1 suggests in Ondo, the low of our correction into wave 2 is already in, and maybe this is like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up followed by a correction down. And in terms of the shape of it, I'm gonna say probably we are having A, B, and then another move down into our C leg. And then if from here you see a good bounce in order to take the height of our wave B, that could pretty much confirm that, okay, this point is our final low and we are going to see a rather strong move on the upside. Scenario number 2 suggests that maybe this whole move up is a correction, and in terms of the shape of it, I think the best that I can find is probably going to be a WXY in form of a double zigzag, and we are going to have another move down, and that can be, no, let's actually still consider a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up in here, but let's say this is going to be into the C leg of an ABC running flat starting from this point right in here, and we are having something like this, and the next move down can be in form of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave in order to take this low, but maybe not necessarily go a whole lot lower and complete the sub waves for an A, B, C in form of a zigzag, and then we are going to have a move on the upside. Bottom line is, in my view, downsides in a lot of altcoins are actually quite limited, and in this week, probably in the next 5 to 7 days, I do think that we are going to see some moves on the upside. Now, if you do not care about any of these structures, okay, I would like to suggest to just wait and see a move up in order to take this important high right in here about, let's say, 82 cents area. Why do we care about that high so much? Because you see, in terms of Elliott waves, if you want to say that I'm wrong in Ondo and this is actually the beginning of another move down, then okay, off of the recent high, you need to be able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. And in any kind of 5 wave, this is actually a very important role. Please pay attention. Our wave 3 under any kind of circumstances should not be the smallest wave. Why do we care about this? Because you see, let's say in Ondo, we are going to get a move up, hopefully in form of a beautiful looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulse in order to take this up. At that point, if you want to make a bearish argument, here's a question for you. How exactly are you able to find a 5 wave from the highs to about the lows? At best, I think you're just going to say, you know what, maybe this is just an ABC or maybe a WXY in form of a double zigzag. So finding a 5 wave at that point is going to be so challenging to a degree that is going to really not be our primary case, indicating, yeah, we are bullish, and hopefully this move is going to continue at quite a bit of a rapid pace for the next let's say 2-3 weeks in order to completely recover from all this crash and get back above this important level, which is actually the beginning of the crashing hour around, let's say, 90 cents area. But in my view, we are probably going to go quite a bit higher than that in Ondo. Why? Because this is also the same for a lot of other alts as well. You see, let's go back on trading views charts, because I think we talked about this before. When we got our move down, I think this happened way too fast, and as a result of it, right around this region between 93.5 to about, let's say, $1, we did create a very important gap, and that is, I think, from daily and also maybe H4 time frame at the same time. So this gap does actually have quite a bit of validity, and in my view, gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled. So from my POV, makes perfect sense to argue, you know what, in Ondo, if we are hopefully going to get another move up, a good target can be reaching to about this level, and hopefully we are going to go much, much higher than that. So this week, in conclusion, in Ondo and also a lot of other alts, in my view, is going to be a good one. But whether we are going to get our move up from the current point, or maybe we're just gonna go in like very, very short term in the next 48 hours for another one of these, and then we're gonna get a bounce. Fair enough, that can be up for debate, but bottom line, yeah, I do think we are going to do something like this. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Ondo. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.